got some meeting minutes to approve, and we got a chance to look at those. They were emailed to us earlier.
Hanging your way, sorry. You said 5:38, right?
Yep. Ooh, yeah. Any questions on the town meeting minutes? I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve? Is that what we're doing?
Yep.
All right, I will do a
Second.
motion to approve.
Moved in second, all in favor? Okay. Moving on to public comment. Do we have any public comments?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Who moved and seconded? Lori?
I second.
All right, hearing no public comments, we can move on to item 4, recommendations on the town municipal budget. Yes, I suppose. Oh, town administrator.
Well, it's only in good news. So you have a revised budget package in your thing. The lower left-hand corner now says SB recommended April 10, 2023. Because our auditor identified for us $77,305 in revenue sharing that we could apply to reduce the property tax burden. So the select board considered that on this Monday, April 10th, made that change, which is reflected on page 26. And everything else remained the same.
That is good news.
No, it's just that, I don't seem to have this one.
77,000 of revenue sharing, right?
I haven't seen.
$77,000, that's $305.
That's the municipal budget, that's what we're talking about.
Is that it?
26.
And
They are, add that number to the
Sorry,
previous
I have
number.
too many. I had all the old ones and I didn't write it.
it's your new packet? I'll find it for you.
Thank you.
For anyone that has a previous version of the budget, the number on the select board's recommendation had been $268,978. It has now been revised to $346,283.
Okay.
And with that, I could go back and sit down after telling you one more thing.
Yes.
Also in your packet is a handout that starts with Article 6. And this is the part of the draft of the town meeting warrant for the municipal warrant. And you will see Article 6 is where the budget committee recommendations start to kick in. And there's blanks next to budget committee recommends all the way through there for hopefully you folks to fill out so that we can type that in and get the select board to approve the warrant at their meeting on April 24th. Happy to answer questions.
All right. Well, my thought is we go through the articles, and if we have any questions, we want to dig deeper into it, we've got Dave right here.
Sounds good.
All right, so looking at Article 6, to see what sum the town will vote to raise and appropriate for municipal administration and finance. The select board recommends a sum of $637,141. So in this case, if you can certainly, make a motion to approve that, or you can make a motion for any other number that you see fit.
Oh, I move to approve $637,141 for Article 6.
I second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? All right. Moving on to Article 7, to see what sum the town will vote to raise and appropriate for municipal protection. Select Board recommends a sum of $308,559.
I have a question.
Yes.
As far as it being, I'm sorry, but I can't see my glasses anymore. For protection, can you what does that mean? I know what protection means, but in this case, what does that mean?
In protection, what that means is it's a combination of animal control,
Okay,
fire department, and then what we lump in called protection other, which includes streetlights, insurances, legal services, emergency management, ambulance, dispatch, and parking enforcement.
thank you.
You're most welcome.
So it's pages 6 through,
9.
yes. Can't, these
Make a
pages.
motion, no other questions? I move that we approve $308,559 for the protection, Article 7.
I second.
Okay, any discussion? And all in favor? Okay. Moving on to Article 8, to see what sum the town will vote to raise and appropriate for municipal office, the municipal town office building. Select Board recommends a sum of $34,217.
I propose that we accept the, 2,000, yeah. Wait a minute, I lost it. I can't see too well, yeah, I know, I just,
30.
yeah, $34,217. I shouldn't do this one,
I second.
Second, all right, discussion? All in favor? Alrighty. Article 9, to see what sum the town will vote to raise and appropriate for municipal contingency. Select Board recommends $10,000.
I make a motion that we accept Article 9 for $10,000.
Second?
Discussion? All in favor? Article 10, to see what sum the town will vote to raise and appropriate for municipal CEO and assessing. The Select Board recommends $98,316.
I propose that we, 9,300, sorry, $98,316 for my eyes to see.
I will second.
Discussion? All in favor? Article 11, to see what sum the town will vote to raise and appropriate for municipal public works. The Select Board recommends $1,427,285.
I move that we accept the $1,427,285 for Article 11.
Second?
And that's pages 14 through 17?
I believe so.
Yes.
Okay.
Discussion?
Did we hear back about the winter road maintenance contract?
We are still in negotiations for winter road maintenance.
Thank you.
Further discussion? It's been moved and nominated. All in favor? Article 12.
Wait, who's, I don't have the motion for that.
I moved on
Emily
this
and
one.
Oh, did you?
Dorothy.
Yes.
And
And-
Dorothy seconded?
Yep.
Yeah, oh, I missed it.
Article 12, to see what sum the town will vote to raise and appropriate for municipal boards and committees. Select Board recommends $11,601. Page 18.
I make a motion that we accept the proposed $11,601 for Article 12.
A second.
I second it.
Discussion? All in favor? Article 13, to see what sum the town will vote to raise and appropriate for municipal support. Select Board recommends $32,895.
make a motion that we accept the $32,895 for Article 13.
I'll second.
Discussion.
I have discussion.
Yes, sir.
Oh,
I want to make sure before I have my discussion that I'm looking at the right pages for this article. 20, perfect, it is the right page. I have concerns that we are estimating the 16,000 for the cemetery situation. I feel like based on the other things that are already being increased, that there's fat that can be trimmed from that.
It's down, it's 14,440.
Okay.
The cemetery row.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah, it's down from 16,000.
Oh, yes, recommendation. Well, quite honestly, I still have problems with that number.
Okay. Yeah.
Thanks for calling out.
so do I.
So, let me bring out my notes. If you take, cause, like if we have, I know we talked about the select board changed it because they were focused on the largest one, which I think is the one on High Street. Is that right? The one on High Street?
High Street? Yep.
Um,
Oh, the biggest funding, yeah.
and that they were not going, that they were gonna primarily suggest focusing on that one. But like, all at the same time, that's still a large amount of money that's going towards the one versus the 4 others not getting any help. So potentially, in my opinion, that repair and reset of the stones versus cleaning the stones seems like a higher priority, so maybe revisiting the amount, and I believe when I did the math, I thought that 6,700 was the amount, but let me just make sure. But anyways, I would propose a different figure, approximately 6,700, based on that reasoning.
So from 14,400 to 6,700?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Okay, so so with that math, you can do an alternate proposal with that amount removed from the current request. So 6,700,
I'm,
Good,
Oh, good, he's got his phone and calculator.
yeah, it's just gonna do the same thing, Dave.
I actually have it as 5,600, so I apparently was taking the 13, what is this math that I did? Repair and reset, 1,350. And then 2,000. Oh, yeah. I do think that is right. So I just took the repair and reset for each of those 3 categories for,
for the
Mm,
Fletcher
yeah.
Cemetery on High Street.
yeah.
And you're saying, so what is it that you're saying you want to remove those?
No, I was saying just to fund those,
Oh, only to fund those?
So that would reduce the amount to
5,600.
5,600.
So what
From-
would be, we're not gonna support? I'm confused, I'm sorry.
Well, what, I
Because
believe,
last year was 6,000, so you wanna bring it down to 5,600 this year.
You want to reduce it
right,
over last year's?
Well, you also
Well, they
have
were
to keep in
proposing-
mind that we're also adding in the upkeep that's already in the budget. So resetting the stones and everything is an
Addition to the 6,000 that normally pays to take care of the cemeteries.
So if you just, for instance, if you took the $6,000 that they did last year,
mhm,
and then you gave them that same budget this year, and then you added on the 5,600 to
Okay.
actually do that one cemetery, you're looking at more than just 5,600, you're looking at
11,600.
okay.
Well,
So then, yes, what I'm saying is to add the repair and reset of the stones at that cemetery, if that's what needs done,
Oh, for that one
plus the
cemetery.
maintenance.
Right,
Cause we were
Okay.
focusing on that one,
okay.
So we're reducing it by 2,800, which would be,
which was down from.
So you,
30
and not the cleaning, you're saying? You don't
so
want,
30,95.
right?
I'm just saying, if we're trying to reduce that overall cost, I don't know that cleaning the stones versus the ones that are already in disrepair, fixing those, makes sense.
And another good point on that is they did say when we had the meeting with them that they weren't gonna be able to do all this maintenance this year.
Okay,
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so I mean, I would like to err on the side of caution and just say, you know, let's see what the cost is gonna be to do the first one. And it's gonna give us a better idea on next year's budget.
Mhm.
Did we allot too much, did we not allot
Right.
enough, so.
I would only say that, I would think that if you're repairing and resetting a stone, you need to clean that stone too, as opposed to cleaning every stone. I mean, if you're working on the stone, I'm not sure,
So we think that
well, they
that's
say
not
it's,
included?
it's 20, it isn't included. If you look at the per stone estimates,
Well, I'm
The
saying,
cleaning is
so it's
separate.
estimating,
right, 4 stones for repairing are estimated for the 600. And I'm just saying that those 4 stones, if we're working on them, we should clean them at the same time. It might affect the way they get repaired
I
and
second
reset
that.
if crap is on them, you know.
so you're saying you don't think that the cost to repair those 4 stones would include the company cleaning them?
Right,
Those
it's a
4
separate line
stones?
item. You see above it, it says clean 41 stones. That's all 41 in section 1.
Right.
And of those
I
41.
assumed that was 41 other stones
No.
compared to the ones that are here.
No, because that's all under section 1. It's saying section 1 has 41 stones, of which 4 of them need repair, 15 of them need resetting. So that implies 19, that the other 22 stones just need cleaning. I think that's the way I read that. That, because over on the left, they say the per stone estimates are, cleaning is $20 a stone, resetting is 50, repairing is 150. So, it's like a Chinese menu thing here. Take from column A, column B.
So.
I mean,
given
I
the
guess I'm
scope-
just saying, I
Right.
could see not cleaning any of the stones that you're not repairing or whatever, but
But just given the scope of what we're figuring out here, we're getting really into the deep details.
It is deep
And
detail,
I guess,
yeah.
if you're proposing 6,000 for
Mhm.
the general maintenance plus 5,600 for the repair, whatever it ends up being, whatever, this is your amount you have to do this
Right.
work. Then what my math says, we'd be reducing the total amount by $2,800, so it's $2,800 less than is in this budget, which would bring the line item to an amount of $30,095. So what you would do now, if that's what you wanna do, you would then you move that we accept in the amount of $30,095. Is my math right, Dave?
no.
No,
No, that's
I'm
okay.
not, I'm not doing the math
Well, I
yet.
just
So
knew-
it's $2,840 that you're reducing it by.
About $40, okay.
So if you're reducing it by that, you'd be looking at 32,895 minus 32,840, $30,055.
Okay, let me get that for you.
All right, so now I'm confused.
No, it's just basically reducing the amount that she
I
proposing to
understand
reduce
that
the
part,
amount.
but are we gonna clean the stones?
That has nothing, but that's
That
not
is
the
not-
issue.
that's two
Yeah,
separate
that's,
things.
as
Okay,
far as I'm
that's-
concerned, that's not what we're voting on today. It's a
Okay.
deeper issue that we should have gotten to.
Yeah, and I
back
think
to figure out.
that's maybe my fault. My point
Okay.
is,
All
I
right,
think
well, that's what kind of.
You don't-
I
you don't need that
personally
much,
feel
yes.
like that much money to clean stones that have been,
Okay.
and do things to cemeteries and whatnot, is a lot of money based on the budget already being increased, that maybe this year is not the year to do
Right.
the big project.
So
That's what I would
then
say.
you would then move 30,055.
Okay, so I will set a motion for 30,055.
One more
And
discussion
yes.
point. So let's say we do recommend 30,055, and that's to the big, bigger, it's the cemeteries plus other things, right? Not just cemetery.
Mhm.
So who's gonna communicate that, you will, you'll say budget committee wants this taken off the cemetery.
What we'll do
Okay,
on this and all the other accounts
yeah.
is we'll fill in this column that says BudCom, Recom,
Yeah.
which is budget committee recommends.
Chickens got loose.
And if there's an amount that's different, on all the previous pages, we're just gonna cut and paste what you've already done, cause the numbers match. On this page, we'll cut and paste, but when we get to cemeteries, we'll if this proposal passes, we would reduce that line by whatever the reduction we just talked about was, and pass it on to the voters.
And so, since the voters make a decision at town meeting, what this will essentially send was, somebody will, hopefully, you will pick this up, say, why is the budget committee recommending a different amount? They'll give you the opportunity, or anyone else, to stand up and say, here's my reason
Perfect.
why, and explain your case to the town voters. Town voters could say nothing for the cemeteries, they could say $1 million, fix them all. The voters make that decision, but I think that's, and I think the most beneficial thing of doing something like this, if this passes, is that it does go to the town and say, we have a disagreement here, or this is not a big disagreement, but this is my proposal, we're spending a lot of money at a time when our budget's going up. So I think that's a good case to bring to the town. Anyway, I will stop now, and you can make your motion.
Motion for $30,055 versus $32,895.
I'll second.
$30,985.
55.
55. $30,055. Yeah.
30055.
Do we have further discussion on that item? All right, I will entertain a vote. All in favor of the amount of $30,055? Perfect.
And who seconded that, Lori?
John.
I did.
Thank you.
All right, moving on. Thank you for that, by the way. Article 14, to see what sum the town will vote to raise and appropriate for the capital improvement program. So for the fire trucks fund, the select board recommends 25,000, road improvements 150,000, reevaluation 100,000, bandstand 10,000, for a total amount of 285,000. I will entertain a motion.
Bless you.
Not totally, I swear.
I move to recommend $285,000 for Article 14.
I will second.
All right, any discussion on that? So I just think of planning for the future. All right, all in favor? Excellent. Article 15, to see what sum the town will vote to raise or appropriate for debt service. Select board recommends $75,667.
A motion to recommend $75,667.
All right.
I'll second.
Discussion?
What do you do with debt service?
That one's an easy one.
All in favor? All right. And we've already done Article 16. Article 17. See what sums the town will vote to appropriate from revenues and unassigned fund balance to reduce property tax assessment for the 2023-24 fiscal year. The select board recommends $1,710,623.
And I think that's a mistake. Well, I'm looking at the summary sheet, the 171063, I think
It's
is.
because you're including the 105.
Oh, yeah. Never mind, sorry. I got ahead of myself. Never mind the man behind the curtain.
All right, I'll entertain a motion then.
I make a motion that we appropriate $1,710,623.00 for Article 17.
I second it.
Perfect. Discussion. All in favor? Perfect.
Did I miss Article 16? What?
That was, we already made our recommendations on that one. That was the provider agencies.
Oh, yeah, so we can't change now, okay.
Right, this, the difference there is like the select board recommended $1 for hospice volunteer, no, not deaf humanity.
And I missed the second on that one again. Article 17.
Done.
Dottie, thanks.
Okay, so getting to final articles here. Article 18, to see if the town will vote to appropriate $105,883 in coronavirus local fiscal recovery funds, AKA American Rescue Plan Act, ARPA, received by the town from the federal government for the placement of lost public sector revenue in order to provide eligible government services as set forth by the U.S. Department of the Treasury's final rule and as determined by the select board to be in the best interest of the town. The select board recommends approval of Article 18. What do we think?
I agree with you.
Is that, I move,
I move.
move that we recommend a yes vote, okay?
I'll second.
Discussion. All in favor? Okay. Finally, Article 19, to see if the town will vote to reappropriate any and all coronavirus local fiscal recovery funds, aka American Rescue Plan Act, ARPA funds, remaining once the projects approved pursuant to Article 2 through 5 of the January 12, 2023 special town meeting are complete for the replacement of lost public sector revenue in order to provide eligible government services as set forth in the U.S. Department of Treasury's final rule and as determined by the Select Board to be in the best interest of the town. The Select Board recommends approval of Article 19. Yes.
That's a lot of words, so I'll try to explain this because it's not in the budget. If you recall, we had a special town meeting on January, 12th. We had 3 articles that appropriated money. There were some plumbing and heating repairs here, there was float repair, and there was
The court.
the what?
Tennis
Oh,
court.
tennis court, yes. At least on the plumbing and heating repairs here have been completed. The floats are not yet complete, but partway complete, and the tennis court hasn't started with the exception of signing the contract. We're not, fortunately, not anticipating spending all of that money that was appropriated then, because we didn't know exactly how much it was going to cost. So we will have monies, not a lot of monies, but probably, hundreds, maybe thousand, all told. But we took that money from ARPA monies that came to us. We have to account for every we have to account for every penny of that money to somebody else. And it all has to be committed by a certain deadline. And because we're gonna have monies left over, instead of having an article someplace in the future to talk about $500 that we had left over to do something with it so we can not have to send it back to Washington, the select board decided to have this article and use those money to reduce the property tax burden if there's any leftover monies. And that way we'll be able to clearly and concisely account for every penny of that money when we have to submit the paperwork, which is done electronically, so it's not really paperwork.
Well, I make a motion, we approve Article 19.
I second it.
Okay. Any discussion? Thank you, Dave. All in favor? Perfect. All right, that does it for the municipal budget. Let's move on to the town meeting budget, school board. School board, sorry. Yeah, school board. And as it says in this, May 15th, 2023 at 7 PM is the town meeting on the school budget. So we'll just jump right in with Article 1. Shall the town of Lincolnville be authorized to expend $1,722,912 for regular instruction? School board voted 5-0 in favor.
We just got the itemized here, so we're gonna try to flip through this pretty quickly.
Alright.
Did they update the principal's salary that they were anticipating?
I don't think we made any changes to the budget.
Not since we did it last
I
week.
didn't see any changes.
But we have.
They did offer a position though.
Oh yeah,
to
he's
someone, right?
he's accepted. Yeah. So
Okay.
Justin actually interviewed him for the town news last week.
Mhm.
I mean, I know Justin a little bit just professionally. He's a great guy. Had some really good visions for the school. A real just commitment to education. He started as a special ed teacher, which I think says a lot about people go into special ed go into it because they really appreciate kids. And from everything I hear, although there's always naysayers, Rockland has had vast improvements in the South School during his 7 years tenure there. So I think that speaks to his skills, that people seem pretty generally happy with where that elementary school is. That's my take on that. But as far as regular education, I will entertain a motion on that.
Make a motion that we accept Article 1 in the amount of $1,722,912.00 for regular instruction.
It's Article 1.
Article 1.
Yep.
Yes, Article 1.
That would be the second reading
Oh,
that's this one.
This
Yeah.
one, got it, okay,
And there's the rest of this.
right.
Yeah?
I had this up, but I just didn't have that. Okay, hold on. Okay. Special school budget town meeting warrant.
All right, do we have a second? I'm abstaining unless there's a, I mean, that's something that seems to have been done for a while. But if there's ever a tie, that's when I will step in.
Okay, Gerald, did the motion, right?
Yeah.
And who seconded?
John.
I'll second.
Okay, got it.
I do just have a question. Is that including the new pre-K program?
Yes, it is.
It is? Okay.
Yes. You're an expert on it because I read the thing.
Which makes
Is there
it
any
cheaper.
discussion on that?
Right, I remember
Yes.
that from the discussion.
Dottie?
I spent an enormous amount of time today working through this whole thing because, I used to work in that school and I think that it's one of the best ones in the world and all the people there are still just as marvelous as when I was there. The only question I had was the cost of, the estimated cost of Lincolnville with the pre-K, the pre-K.
Mhm.
That, now, I need an explanation. I'm not judging it, I just don't understand it.
Mhm.
And what I don't understand is why is it $238,815 and 15.72 cents? That seems like an enormous amount of money.
Where is
Oh,
that?
on page 4 at the top,
Okay.
it has partial explanation.
Well, yeah, I was reading this thing and it didn't help me any.
Yeah.
Is this because of the grant or because of how much it costs? I
It's
guess
just this amount of money.
Yeah.
I don't understand when I look at that amount.
Should I call Kate?
Yeah, we should call Kate, but in her absence, and I don't do schools, and I'm not a school finance person,
Oh.
the cost of pre-K is not $238,815.72. That is the amount that the local contribution to education will increase if, for the entire budget, if pre-K is added. And believe it or not, through whatever formula they have in Augusta, if you don't add pre-K, it costs us more.
Oh, I understand that. I read the whole thing.
Yeah,
Backwards and forwards. Then
it-
why don't they state it that way?
Well, because somebody was trying to state something different and trying to tell you what the total change, local change is if pre-K is there or without pre-K. And I think what you're looking for, Dottie, is what it costs to run the pre-K program itself.
Yes.
And I think as Laurie said, on what's labeled page 4C, budget summary, the pre-K program itself looks like it's budgeted at $90,504.20.
But you wanna know what the why is there such a difference between those?
Well, in the way it was written, I guess that's my, really, I spent a lot of time trying to figure this out, and I'm not really bright, but I'm not stupid either, most of the time. But I just didn't understand the way, I understood the
Yeah.
idea, if we don't have it, then it's gonna cost, but it
Well-
was,
Well, that's why that's why you're confused, because intuitively, if you don't have it, the number would be lower.
that's my problem.
Right, but the
Okay.
but you see, it's just bad English. It's the estimated cost to Lincolnville. It's Lincolnville's share of the
Right.
budget with and without it. It's because we're getting more money from the state to support the pre-K program. And that's why, if we have the pre-K program, we're getting that money. If we don't have the pre-K program, we're not getting that money.
Well, I
Right?
kinda-
John, you were in the,
Well, that was
Meeting.
right, I know what Dave said is right, and what you're saying is right.
See, and I assumed that, but you know what happens when you make an assumption
Yep.
on
Yeah.
something,
But
and I
that is
wasn't
what's
going
going
to
on,
do
it
that.
sounds like. Yeah,
That's
perfect.
exactly,
Yeah.
right, but that's why,
I
right, it's
don't want
because.
to do this, but I really got, jeez, and
Perfect.
I have something I
Yeah,
have to say.
a sentence there would have been helpful instead of just, saying, even though it looks strange, believe it or not, because
why.
of the reimbursement we're getting, we're actually paying more as a town to not have pre-K.
I know, and I realize
Right.
that, which.
No, but
that-
if they said that in
Oh,
English,
exactly. I
that would
see
make
what you're saying.
sense.
Yeah, because they're going, now, wait a minute. You know, is this person who's writing this a little dappy here? This doesn't make sense.
Thank you
to
for
me.
clarifying that, Dottie.
Thank you.
All right, any further discussion? All right, I will. All in favor? Excellent.
Robin, you never look up to see how many are for and how many are against.
Because I just
I-
listen for what he says.
Yeah.
I don't, and I don't, like I said, I'm saying, I think this was, I think Tom was the chair years ago, I think that was something he did. And I don't know, it just sort of makes sense, I don't need to vote if all you 6 vote,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
When you says
They-
passed unanimously, I just put down passed
And
unanimously.
that
Yeah,
makes.
and it-
Oh, although you abstained, right?
I abstained,
So
don't,
we
don't,
did.
you don't have to do that.
Well, it may be important to, for whatever reason,
Hmm.
and again, I don't do school, the warrant says, school committee vote 5-0 in favor, so I'm gonna,
Oh, so should I be
Right.
voting on these?
Yes.
well, no, you
Okay.
don't raise
Oh,
your
that's
hand,
it, yeah.
you don't raise
I'm-
your
I'm
hand,
happy to- I'm
but
in favor.
I'm happy to write down 6-0 or whatever you do, but
6-0 with one
Yeah,
abstention.
just, I'll say it, if I can confuse things, yes. Cause the other ones, it just says yes or no, but the
Right.
school says,
Okay.
Yeah.
yeah, then, yeah.
okay.
Making it 7,
Isn't it 1, 2,
Yeah,
3,
it's
4,
not,
5?
it's not anything
Six.
political, it's just.
Oh, oh, you mean he's,
I don't understand that,
oh,
but there
so he
again,
changed his vote?
I can see where people are gonna complain.
Yeah,
So he's
I'll
not
vote for it if it
abstaining.
makes it easier,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay,
Cause I think, I can see where that would confuse things in the town, in the school meeting.
okay.
Moving on, Article 2, shall the town of Lincolnville be authorized to spend $842,203.43 for special education?
I'll make a motion that we do approve the $842,203.43 for Article 2 for special education.
I will second that.
Discussion. All in favor? Okay.
So that's a 7-0.
7
We have
to
to
0.
take, these are all, okay.
And Article 3, shall the town of Lincolnville be authorized to spend $0 for career and technical education?
Oh,
I don't remember seeing that in our,
You have
It's
that,
not on there, yeah.
okay,
that
non-issue.
career and technical education, these articles are set forth in statute what they have to be, wording. And the K-8 school doesn't have career and technical education, the high school does.
Put those kindergartners to work.
You actually have to vote on 0.
Just got a labor force
You
reduction.
know, exactly, they got those little hands. Alright, entertain a motion.
I'd make a motion, we approve $0 on all.
Yeah, yeah. Is there a second?
So I'll
Second.
All in favor?
So the men do one side and we do one
Love
side.
approving $0.
Who was the second?
Lori?
Sure.
Oh, I think there was 3 of us,
Pretty
so it
much
doesn't matter.
picked
Doesn't matter.
Okay, moving on to Article 4, shall the town of Lincolnville be authorized to spend $46,365 for other instruction?
I move to, approve Article 4 as written.
Perfect.
What is other instruction?
Is that the
Is there
gifted?
any kind of a class?
Would you like me to answer that?
I would love that if you do that, please, sir.
It's the co-curricular activities and the co-curricular athletics.
Chess club, cross country.
And he explained in the meeting that it was the athletic director he's been doing himself, Paul, while he was the principal, because he has a background in athletics, but the new guy, it was not part of the principal's job, he was just doing it.
The new guy is a soccer coach, by the way.
Oh, he is,
Yeah.
but he is,
We're not volunteering though for.
right.
It's
I
the
did
items
not
on
remember
top of
hearing
page
that.
6,
Yeah.
I believe.
Yeah,
you
it's
talked
in
about
the
it last
minutes.
week.
I'm sure. I'm sure.
All right, do we have a second on that one?
They decided when they put it out to get a new person in the position, they should actually fund a position for the athletic, a stipend for the
Even- I'm
athletic.
sure my brain just said it was important to remember, so compared to other things, sorry.
We have a movement, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Oh,
All right, perfect. Any further discussion? You're out of line.
Well, if that's on the top of page 6, this says 19,334.
But I think it includes
confused?
the,
Right,
And
If-
then the next line down, the next part.
Extracurricular, okay, so it's those two combined.
right.
Gotcha. No more discussion for me.
All right, all in favor? Okay. Article 5. Shall the town of Lincolnville be authorized to expend $392,801.50 for student and staff support? School committee votes 5-0 in favor. I have that votes. Accept the motion.
I move to approve Article 5 as written.
Perfect. Second?
I'll second.
Any discussion on that? All right, all in favor? Unanimous. Article 6, shall the town of Lincolnville be authorized to spend $188,821.33 for system administration? School committee votes 5-0 in favor. I'll entertain a motion.
This is just for the principal.
And no, this is for the school board,
Well,
school committee and superintendent.
Right, sorry,
Our portion
I
of
didn't
it.
mean to say it that way, right.
We need a motion.
So you need a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve Article 6 for $188,821.33 for assistant administration.
Second.
Second, all right. Any discussion on that?
I don't understand where that number's coming from.
Which number?
At the top of page 8,
Oh, I'm with you now. I was looking at going
school
below it.
committee, and then
Yeah.
our share of the superintendent's office.
Further discussion? All in favor? Perfect. Article 7, shall the town of Lincolnville be authorized to spend $224,018 for school administration? The school committee voted 5-0 in favor.
And this is just the line for the principal.
Yeah, the big increase there was the new principal. I will entertain a motion.
I move to approve Article 7 as written.
Do we have a second?
Second.
And discussion.
I guess I have discussion.
Yes.
Don't, I mean, isn't this number the one that's, I mean, he's accepted it, so, like, is he getting the top of the thing? I thought from the last meeting, they increased it because they wanted to have wiggle room for negotiation.
Right.
So was the negotiation top dollar?
I think, well, I mean, my understanding, someone correct me if I'm wrong, but teacher salaries are, and principal as well, is based on how many years they have in the system.
Yeah,
And he's been in the system 20 years, plus over 20 years, I think is where it maxes out.
okay.
Which I expected we get a principal that would have that much experience in the system. That's usually how we do it in
Mhm.
school. And the other big increase was because Paul wasn't taking benefits because he'd retired. So
Mhm.
we were basically getting a deal on Paul,
Right.
who'd already retired. And so everything kind of went up, as that's my understanding of what happened with that.
I think you're correct on that.
But yeah, I think
I know you're correct.
Justin Bennett has like.
So if we agree to this, and then it comes out, and for whatever reason, I don't know why, but let's say hypothetically,
Mhm.
it's 215,000. Does it get changed? Where does the money go?
No.
I'm,
Like,
I'm
no.
confused,
No, no.
I thought that last week he told us the guy had already
Yeah, he'd already
accepted.
accepted it last
Yeah.
week.
So they already knew the
So it's
right
set,
number.
his
Yeah.
salary's already set in
Yeah.
stone.
So all
That
set.
doesn't mean that this is, that this was the maximum.
John, is his salary set at the 105,000?
Yeah, as I recall, and then he got a few other benefits and things. He negotiated with the superintendent and they worked it
Oh,
out
'cause I
and
thought
he accepted.
Based on that conversation, it was still up for review, and that it was wiggle room.
No, I think it was
That's,
cemented this week.
Yeah,
I thought when he said that last week, it was when he was talking about the search for the pre-K
That
teacher.
was where I
He was saying that they'd
Yeah.
made that at the top of the range so that they'd have
Yeah, I think that
room
was it.
for
Yeah, that
finding,
was- yeah.
and that they
Mm.
hoped that
Right.
they would hire a teacher that had less,
I thought it was.
didn't need the maximum.
Because my sense is the goal is always to make sure you don't go over your budget.
Right,
But I agree with what you just said, because that's what I remember too.
yeah.
And I kind of first went, but I understood it after I thought about it, because yes, you have to do wiggle room if you want something good.
Does that make sense to you? How's that?
I'm gonna jump in now.
Yeah,
So,
please. Jump on, jump away.
so we're paying the principal $105,000, which I can definitely get on board with, but now we're paying principal benefits of 26.5. Was that the other things that he negotiated?
Yeah, I think
Well,
that was part of it.
it
Yeah,
looks,
and who said something?
So really, we're paying the principal really 131,000.
isn't that the cost of our share of his cost, health insurance and stuff?
Yeah.
All the
Yep.
benefits that they get.
That's all that, yeah,
All the
that's,
teachers
that's,
get.
that's the
All the
negotiation.
teachers the same way as it's laid
Because
out
they,
the same.
because they
way.
have health insurance listed in the school administration also. and
Well, that's health
FICA,
insurance,
Unemployment.
regular hourly staff.
That's
See
what
how
you
there's
have
two
for-
rows for
it's
each
the
thing, like
whole
the office of the
principal's office.
principal is that principal benefits is probably for the principal and the secretary. Well, I don't know whether the secretary's hourly or not, or salaried, but I think it's a salaried versus hourly breakout.
Oh, so it's literally not for just the principal, it's his entire staff.
Misleading.
Well, the salaried
It's the principal's
staff,
office, not the principal.
salaried staff as opposed to the hourly staff.
Look at page 33Q.
33.
That has,
Something like that.
Breakdown.
that has a detail of,
Oh, no, that is just the principal, and the secretary's 11.
Yep.
6.
Benefits. Yeah, principal, secretary.
So besides health insurance, do we also do is there like a matching or a pension thing?
that's me PERS in here.
Oh, that's the main PERS, okay.
Yeah, these are all like pretty non-negotiable when it comes to
Yeah, I was
salaries.
gonna say, I mean, at this point, I guess if
they're
they've
union.
already accepted it,
But it's
they've
also, they're also
accepted it.
union employees.
If we
so-
say
Yeah.
But I'm not-
200,000, we're gonna have to like, they're gonna have to
Tell
come up with the
people
money
we can
somewhere
plan
else, so.
All right, I just
Okay.
wanted to understand the principal benefits, because to me, it's
Yeah.
easier saying we're paying him $130,000.
Except we're not, he doesn't get
Except we're not.
taxed on that, you know, it's the health insurance, so.
We were
Gotcha.
basically getting
Like-
all at a discount.
Yep.
Any of us that work for,
Those of you who get benefits through their work, not me.
right,
You don't usually consider your health
Although-
insurance part of your money.
A principal.
I do sometimes think about that, but then I realize what it involves, so I
I'm-
know.
and actually, that is another thing that Principal Russo mentioned when he said he has not been taking benefits because he did not need to do that for his family, but the new
He gets them
principal
retired,
is.
yeah.
So this is not even just his individual ones, it's for him and his family.
Yeah.
And judging by what my employer shows me is my employer's share of mine, this looks reasonable. I hate to say.
And I wanna make one comment, there's a big, huge difference, I don't, for people who have been here, but huge difference between what the previous person did and what the common person coming off the street getting a job here gets. And the person that left gets this much, and the person coming in is gonna get this much, because that's a normal rate. And that's awfully hard to understand, but it's really a big, big, big chunk of difference.
Further discussion on that? All right. No,
Yeah.
these are all really good questions.
We're good.
It's the way the sausage is made is complicated. It's important to know it.
Yeah.
So I will entertain a vote, vote. No? All in favor? Okay, so we're on Article 8. shall the town of Lincoln be authorized to expend $309,933 for transportation and buses? School committee votes 5-0 in favor. Have we heard an update on what's,
There we go.
yeah,
That's what we're gonna
what's,
ask.
so who, do we have an update on who's bidding on the school? On the bu-
Yeah, Northeast, who I guess has been serving us.
Yep.
But didn't put a bid in initially. They've submitted a bid finally.
Mhm.
And, the budget committee tonight voted to accept Northwest, but we're not sure if we wanna have 3 buses like we've been running, or pare it down to 2, and then it's gonna be a longer ride for the first kids picked up in the morning. Not the last kid, right, they just go
Right.
straight to school. But we didn't have those numbers in front of us, and so, we've accepted Northeast, but we haven't picked whether we're gonna do 3 buses or 2 until we get more information.
But either way, it'll come below what we budgeted.
It'll come below this.
Perfect. That's the
Yes.
important part. I hope so.
And if we go with the 2 buses, it'll save $50,000.
So I will accept a motion.
I will make a motion that we accept Article 8,
Can I ask-
$309,933.
There's a question.
Let's,
I do have one,
you wanna do it for a second, or is it something to do with this, or?
it does have to do with
Can
this,
we get a second then first, for discussion?
okay.
I'll second.
Alright, perfect. Now, yes, questions?
Okay. Related to this, if they do go with like the 2 buses and it saves 50,000 or whatever, and it's kind of also related to comments that he made related to how they're, budgeting at the high end of the salary to be able to offer as much as they need to someone. But then he also made a comment later on in his presentation about how great the food service person was, and they save money, and are very frugal with their budget, and so they end up with more money that can be used for other things. If the school ends up saving 50 or 60 or 70,000, we never get that money back, right?
Yes, you do.
They
Yeah,
just
so
save it in
next
their
year
kind of
it would
slush
be
fund
less.
for unforeseen stuff.
Oh, yeah, the money for this year, correct. Yes.
Right.
It goes somewhere else.
Yes,
that's the next year.
Was that?
In the warrant, it's road across to do in the facilities account.
Yeah.
So we'll get to
Okay.
that. But next year, if we would budget for less for next year, for that, would be the idea. That would be the hope.
Okay.
Yeah, the facilities account, I think, was, maybe you can remember, I thought it was 250,000. They built up a lot over the years. And then they had the roof leaking and walls with mold. Now they're negative 25,000 in the facilities, so hopefully we can get that built back again.
Got it.
Can I ask you a question on that? That's because the other thing was, is the building, part of the building wasn't put together. There was spaces between, and they had to do a lot of work on the side of the building.
It was poorly built.
That
New
was
building
being
was
polite.
poorly built.
I was trying to be polite, thank you.
Not weather tight.
Yes.
Yeah, well, that's why I was kinda,
Question for you, do we renegotiate this contract every year, or is this?
The buses?
Yeah, the buses.
This one is a 2-year contract.
Okay.
So then we would
So if we
negotiate.
did overpay them, we have the ability to recoup next year.
Right.
Exactly.
Okay.
Well, it should have been something else with more money.
Yeah.
That's how it works. All right, any other discussion?
I think that, I think that the fact that this secondary number has been increased by the substantial amount of $69,000, I feel like we maybe should be a little bit more creative in how we're getting these 4 children to school, cause $82,000 to get 4 children to school seems very.
The problem with that is it's not our decision to make. That's special ed law.
Well,
And so-
I'm not saying that we shouldn't
Right.
get them there, but I
Right.
have a hard time understanding why apparently, based on the discussion,
Right.
$13,800 paid for 3 of the children to go to school, and one of the children, it's costing, I can't do that math that quick in my head, but
So we don't know, of course, where these kids are going, and we aren't able to know. But, so let's say there's a school in Camden, and we have 4 kids going to that school, and then one of those, the special ed plan, if that school's not working for that kid, and they wanna go to a school in Chelsea or Bangor or wherever, we are responsible for transporting that kid to that school, whether we, and we also responsible, I believe, I'm not sure if I'm lying, but, for kids that are homeless. So a kid that's from Lincolnville becomes homeless, that then is living like in the shelter in Rockport, well, we are responsible for transporting them to here, under state law. So those are things we don't have much say over, and it's just like I said, hopefully, next year that won't be the case, and that will be able to go down.
And can I
Yeah.
piggyback on you? The other thing is, if you have a student, let's say you have one student who has great needs, they may need to have two people sit in the back seat with that person for their safety. So that means 3 people to transport them, as opposed to the 2. And
Or a special bus.
or a special, oh, I forgot about the special bus, thank you.
Yeah.
So you know, that's one of those situations, you don't know what the need is, and we don't really need to know, except with a lot of compassion for the family, for the whole family.
But it's still hard to see
But it's
this
hard to
massive
see it as a
increase,
working
500.
person.
Okay.
100%.
I 100% hear you.
I'm not judging by with that statement, it sounded
Right.
like I was,
Oh.
but I'm not, but I'm just trying to explain that we never know who or what's gonna be coming to us. And I've been working in this district as a guidance counselor and other places. I've worked with a lot of places where, I've been in a school and see that somebody might need 3 people to get them from class 1 to the next class kind of thing. And it is expensive, but I always felt that at least they're not being stuck. I can remember my kids' age group, when I first moved here, there was kids that would sit in the window of the attic because that's where they lived, because they were, you know, damaged and couldn't be let out or anything, and there wasn't those services. So I'm really so pro for people who we're trying to educate or give them a better life. So I'm sorry, but I'm on the bandstand,
Fair enough.
but I'm very strong about this.
But
so.
$143,000 increase for transportation, we're already saying the bus contract, which increased 53%, was a crazy number, super high. But we're looking at a secondary number that's increased 500%.
It's 10 times higher, I know.
100%. But I think the
Yeah.
point is, it's not something we have control over.
Yeah.
But I'm saying,
Yeah.
so my recommendation is to recommend a substantially different number, potentially by 50,000, for this transportation budget. And if they need to reallocate, maybe they should talk to the lunchroom lady and figure out how she's saving so much money.
So,
Well, you
let
have,
let me ask the question.
So you can make a proposal of that. I'm just, go ahead.
This is obviously a guesstimate. We don't know how many children we're gonna have, where they're gonna go, what their needs are gonna be. What happens if we over budget to the money that's over budget?
I'll take a stab at it,
Okay,
and again, don't do school finance. At the end of the year, the school committee obviously is authorized to expend per state statute, what we choose to do. If you have monies left over at the end of the year, it goes into the school's undesignated fund, which is in essence all of our savings money. And then the voters get to choose what is done with any leftover money, whether it be transportation or regular instruction. You know, if a senior teacher left and they hired somebody fresh out of college and paid them on the low end of the scale, there's gonna be a gap there. And you have an article at the end of this warrant that asks you, or asks the voters, and asks for your recommendation, to transfer any remaining balance at the end of the school year into the school's facilities reserve. Now, that's not for this money here, but that's for money that's left over in the year that they're currently operating in. A year from now, I would presume the school will have some monies left over. How much, who knows? And I'm going to suggest the school committee is probably going to have a recommendation what to do with that money. But the only people that get to spend it, or say it's okay to spend, is everybody that shows up at town meeting.
I want to know.
And
you were to like zero out that 50,000, the school's still on the hook to pay for it. The school's paying for it somehow, I have to get it somewhere else. And I don't know, my reading of this, I don't see a lot of lean in this budget. I don't see a lot, or not see a lot of fat in this budget. I don't see much. I think what I see is most of it is contracted money, like the teacher's contract, you can't negotiate that. Salaries, you can't negotiate that. There's very little, maybe get rid of athletics. There's things you could certainly cut out, but I personally would be very opposed to that. I'm just opposed to removing something that we have to pay regardless. The hope is, we may not have to pay that. That's just budgeted, but if that kid doesn't go to that school this next year, and I know that certainly the special ed director, Deb, I've worked with Deb for years, she's very good, and she'll work with the parents who have a lot of say here, and we'll try to find the best solution, and if there's, I mean, obviously nobody wants to see that kind of transportation costs, but if it's there, like Dottie was sort of saying, you don't know what you're gonna get.
And I think the big pill to swallow is, I wouldn't expect the budget to go down next year, they're probably gonna ask for the same amount, so.
Well, teachers are always gonna get raises, yep.
But this particular line could significantly change next year.
That definitely will likely will.
I mean,
Right.
they
And,
didn't pick this number out of the sky though,
No.
I don't think.
No.
My understanding from Paul was they know who
Yeah.
they've got right now, and this is what the cost is right now.
That's something that wasn't clear in that conversation,
Oh.
and that's sort of what,
Yeah.
Okay,
why
yeah.
we're asking those
Yeah.
questions.
Okay.
Okay, so we're gonna guess that this is what they need, they're probably gonna finalize it by the school year,
Oh,
obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If they don't use it, I wouldn't expect them to come back next
Yeah.
year and say, we're still guessing, but we're gonna guess at a lower number.
No, I understand what you're getting at, and he did say something very close to that, but I think what I took down was, we don't know, this could change by September.
Right.
We never know. This family could move out of town, another family could move into town. That, I think, is what he was talking about as far as the uncertainty and the guessing. But this number is definite. If nothing changes with these kids between now and September, these are the kids, and this is the expense we're gonna have for those kids. So it is a real number.
Right.
Unfortunately.
It's what we know we're gonna be paying this year. I mean, I think it's, just to use the example I've used before as sitting on this budget committee many years ago when my son started kindergarten. In there, it's this budget item for like, $10,000, something like that. I mean, not quite that high, but it was a significant chunk of money in the special ed department. It was because my son has hearing aids. And so the school is required by the part of the special ed plan to buy an FM system, which is a whole system the school didn't have. If they had it before, they would have paid it, but they didn't have any kids with hearing impairment, so they had to buy a system where teachers wear microphones, whole system, and that costs money. And I was like, oh, that's my family, sorry. Due to nothing is anyone's fault, it's just sort of what happens. So you never know when a kid comes in and what their needs might be. My guess is like an item like this, and John, you're on the school board, but this is the kind of thing that would not be, if they didn't need it this year, they would probably put it in the budget next year, unless they know we're gonna need this money.
I kind of, my personal experience, I used to be on the finance committee when I lived in Massachusetts in my town, small town like Lincolnville. We had a child move into town that we had to bump up $160,000 for the one child. So to me, it's like, 89, that's way for 4 kids or 3, that's a bargain.
But certainly I would entertain a motion, I'm not saying, that's just giving my opinion.
And I would like to say kudos to the person that runs the whole show for these kids, because she does do her very best. I mean, unbelievable how she gets people to volunteer to drive for them for nothing, if she can say.
It's definitely not nothing.
Oh, no,
80
no.
for
But you don't know what's in the budget of kids that are being transported by
Let me say it again
parents.
so you heard me properly. I said this lady finds people who
I
won't
understand.
charge because that's a way of saving money for her. That's what
I
she
understand.
does. Okay.
Alright, so let's move on from here.
Yes,
Do you wanna entertain a
Well,
motion?
I wanna
Yes.
add one
Alright,
more
yep.
thing. Don't count on that 50,000 savings if we go to 2 buses, because actually one of the members of the school committee was listening to that in real time earlier this evening. And so the bus guy, he was the Northeast CEO, was on the line with us on Zoom. And so he goes, okay, the first pickup is here on Cogtown Road, it would have to be at 7:15 instead of some later time. Her head was going like that. That's her. She said, that's my house.
Oh!
So you may not get 2 buses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that's.
we have a motion, we have a second, do we have another, an alternate motion?
Is-
Okay,
I had,
so
I
any further
had
discussion?
Gerald,
Would you please,
yeah, these guys already moved and seconded.
Yeah, we already moved a second
Okay.
on the amount of,
I don't understand.
whatever the amount is, which one are we on?
309.
309,
So that was
93.
what we're voting
So,
on.
yes, is there any further discussion? All right, all in favor?
Is that 6 and 1 against?
It is.
Opposed?
Okay.
Opposed or abstained?
I'm opposed.
Okay, perfect.
I'm
Yep.
doubling down.
No, no problem. Please.
You notice I did.
You're just trying to suck up. I see what you're doing. I think you're sucking up the wrong people.
I actually had a child that had to be transported to Massachusetts.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Yeah,
like,
you
we're
know,
not
I know
those
you know.
people.
All right, so moving on to Article 9. Shall the town of Lakeville be authorized to expend $361,718 for facilities maintenance? Entertain a motion?
I'm making the motion
As written?
as written.
Perfect.
I'll second.
Excellent. Any discussion?
Could somebody explain to us, David, what that is for? In
I like that.
Somewhat kind of detail, if you know it.
Sure, I'll, again, I didn't do this budget, but flipping through along with you on page 9C of your budget summary. Facilities maintenance is kind of broken out, wages for custodial staff, insurances for those folks. Repairs and maintenance services, which I don't know what it is, but maybe it's more detail somewhere. Plowing, trash removal, systems contract, security systems,
Yep.
telephone, custodial supplies, building utility, propane, heating fuel, mower, tractor,
So now 34, that starts for more detail. You're looking for more
You can
detail.
find out that they're planning on purchasing 8 combo floor finish, whatever that is.
So may I ask a question?
Please.
Not that I'm asking you, but I'm asking you. But I don't know who, was this, does the committee, the school committee determine, make up this, or is it the principal or the superintendent, or who does the budgeting for this particular item?
I would
Do you have any,
presume-
anybody have any idea?
I would
Yeah,
presume it
that's-
starts with staff, works its way to the principal, principal then gives it to the superintendent, and the superintendent and the principal gives it to the school committee.
So they do like for anything else with that
I would
particular?
think so.
Okay, well,
I don't participate, but
Yeah, the principal is the central person. This is, he writes up the budget
Okay,
with input from
okay.
wherever he needs it.
All right, that's all I needed to know, thank you.
I have a question. When I was taking notes last week, I thought that the principal commented something about solar saving money. He didn't mean that we have solar. In my brain, I was conflating with our solar, but that's our municipal solar, it's not the school. So the school, we're paying $4,400 a month to CMP on a budget plan, is that?
Yeah, they
What's
have
going
a
on?
share of the production from the Searsmont Road, just whichever way I'm pointing, up the hill there. They've got a share of the production of those 13,500 panels on the hill,
Okay,
yeah. And so they get a 15%. In effect, when everything's done, all the accounting's done, they're getting 15% discount off the CMP rate. If they didn't have solar versus they do have solar, they're saving 15%.
but it's up almost 30%, the budget. I don't understand. So you're saying that if we didn't have the 15% discount, we'd be up at 45%?
Well, at my house, I was looking, before, a year ago or something. I was paying 15 cents per kilowatt hour, delivery and supply. Then I just did it again recently, it's 31 cents. CMP has
Yeah.
been, the rates are going up, 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 up. Yeah,
Another thing we don't have a lot of control over.
no control.
So it's
Well, a
good.
little bit maybe.
A little bit, yes, we do,
We'll
yes,
see.
I think we do a little bit, but yes,
Yeah.
but not today.
Can I ask one quick
yes.
question? So has Ada considered, pumps or anything for doing, schools? I don't know, I'm just thinking about that, you know, if you had pumps in it rather than
Heat
regular.
pumps, you mean?
Yeah, heat pumps, yeah. Sorry.
Oh, you mean on the facilities, like the?
School.
Yeah,
For the heating, do we
Heating.
have heat pumps?
Yeah, that's not been addressed. I think at least it would be nice to get that in the town plan.
Right
I haven't
there,
said
heart and
anything yet,
soul.
but to say, when the school has to replace their oil burner and this, they should look into the finances of getting heat pumps. Switching away from that other heavy equipment and get off the fossil fuels. And then they would look into it and do it or not, depending on the finances and budget and
Okay, I'm
inclinations.
sorry, this is very, I really, this is very interesting and important for me to understand. So the school department wanted to put heat pumps in. Is the school allowed to do that, or do they have to go through the town to do that? Is that what you're saying?
Well, I think they can just go do it.
Okay.
It's their, building. I mean, they're in charge, they're under the
Okay,
state
all right, well,
rules.
just the way you
Yeah.
said it, I wasn't sure, so
Oh.
that's why I was wanting to
No, right,
clarify.
Dave, you, town, I've never
The,
seen it done.
the school committee could do it, but if the cost involved,
Yeah.
they'd have to put it in the budget.
Oh, I understand,
We
no,
take
no,
what
I
Adam's
understand
saying.
that, I
Oh,
understand.
yeah,
that.
but
But they didn't have any, no, that's it.
there are certainly schools throughout the nation that have heat pumps.
I know several schools around here that have it, and they're doing it, they're small schools like yours, here, you know. And they're doing, saving a lot of money.
But remember, heat pumps run on electricity,
Well, I'm just,
and
no,
you're just talking about,
I used,
they need to have a nice committee of people that are great at running numbers. When and if they got to that point, to run
compare,
some numbers.
yeah,
Um,
that's where I'm going with it.
yeah,
Thank you.
happens every day.
But I do wanna move forward
Yes.
on this.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
Thank you.
we have a number on the table, we have a moved, seconded. Any further discussion? All right, all in favor? Article 10, what's that?
Second was Gerald. I feel so weird calling him Gerald, sounds so formal.
That's
It's
usually when I'm in trouble, if you
Jerry
wanna call me Jerry, yeah, Jer Bear, whatever.
No Gerald there, just
All
not
right.
late for dinner.
All right, Article 10. Shall the town of Lincolnville be authorized to expend $352,739 for debt service and other commitments? School committee voted 5-0 in favor.
Not much we can do with debt services. I make a motion that we approve spending $352,739 on debt services and other commitments in Article 10.
I second it.
Perfect. Any discussion on this? Let's get that school paid off before it. Smart. All in favor? Article 11, shall the town of Lincolnville be authorized to expend $24,773 for all other expenditures? School committee voted 5-0 in favor.
That's the food budget,
Oh, there it is. Food.
yeah, okay.
All right.
Are we motioning?
Yes.
Are you?
Motion to accept Article 11 as written.
Second?
I'll second.
All right. Discussion? All in favor? Perfect. All right. Now the long ones. Article 12 and 13 raise funds for the proposed school budget. Article 12, shall the town of Lincolnville appropriate $3,284,577.02 for the total cost of providing public education from pre-K to grade 8, as described in the Essential Programs and Services Funding Act, and shall cost the town of Lincolnville, shall the town of Lincolnville raise $2,478,419.87 as the town's contribution to the total cost of funding public education from pre-K to grade 8. Under the described in the Essential Programs and Service Funding Act in accordance with Maine Revised Statutes, Title 20A, Section 15688, school committee recommends a yes vote. And there's an explanation here. This is the town's contribution is the total cost of funding private public education. The money determined by state law to be a minimum amount the municipality must raise in order to receive the full amount of state dollars. So it's basically saying, are we going to fund the school in the minimum amount the state says we have to pay? I'll hear a motion.
I make a motion that we accept his.
Yes. Vote.
I'll second.
Alright, discussion? All in favor? Okay. Article 13 is a written ballot, okay. Shall the town of Lincolnville raise and appropriate $1,181,707.24 in additional local funds, which exceeds state essential programs and services allocation model by $1,156,934.24. School committee recommends that $1,181,707.24 in additional local funds.
I'm gonna go ahead and ask, what does it mean which exceeds the state essential program by that much money?
I can try. I mean, so essentially, the state says you have to spend at least this much on your school if you want us to contribute.
A minimum.
A minimum, and that is minimum. That means probably no arts, no, all the other things, is we have to pay just basic education. Most schools go well beyond that. Lincolnville goes beyond some schools. That's why Lincolnville is a very sought after town, and our schools are very highly recommended. But, so this budget obviously has above what the state minimum is. I don't know if any schools go by the state minimum, but probably on a list of.
No,
Do you have a motion?
I make a motion that we accept.
Okay. Do we have a second?
I second.
Okay. Good discussion.
It seems like in the explanation
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
that the essential programs does not include special ed as well as the extracurricular and co-curricular. Did I read that right?
I think special ed is required.
That seems
Yeah, special ed
weird.
definitely, because special ed law is strong.
Why did they list that?
I wonder if it's
But-
carved out separately from,
Yeah, I think curricular, like extracurriculars aren't, and, yeah.
It is separate.
Okay.
And our teachers' negotiated contracts are probably not included in that. Any discussion? Some time? Okay. Ready to vote? All in favor? Okay. Article 14. Shall the town of Lincolnville authorize the school committee to expend $4,466,284.26 for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2023 and ending June 30th, 2024 from the town's contribution to the total cost of funding public education from pre-K to grade 8 as described in the Essential Programs and Services Funding Act, non-state funded school construction projects, additional local funds for school purposes under the Maine Revised Statutes, Title 20A, Section 15690, unexpended balances, tuition receipts, state subsidy, and other receipts for the support of the school. The school committee recommends a yes vote.
It's a big
That's all of it, all included.
Yeah.
That's what it costs.
That's everything we've already went over, right, all in one?
Yep, that's all in one.
I make a motion that we recommend Article 14 as written.
Okay, second.
Second it.
All right. Discussion, all in favor? Article 15, in addition to the amounts approved in the preceding articles, shall the school committee be authorized to expend sums as may be received from federal and state grants or programs or other sources during the fiscal year for school purposes, provided that such grants, programs, or other sources do not require the expenditure of other funds not previously appropriated. School committee recommends yes.
I move to approve Article 15 as written.
Second,
Second.
discussion?
I'll just have a clarifying question
Mhm.
on this one.
Okay.
It's layman's term, what this is referring to exactly. Just so it fits in my brain.
The way that I'm reading it is if they apply for a grant or get monies outside that isn't added, that isn't already given to them in this budget, they can spend that money as long as it doesn't cause them to spend any money that we've approved.
So they can use it at their discretion outside.
The
of
example I'm
what's
thinking is,
okay.
let's say someone, like a teacher applies for a funding for science equipment, and they get that funding, and they can now use that money, which came from this separate grant, which is not in the budget.
Because it's separate,
It's a
separate.
it's a
line
federal
for-
state grant,
okay,
yeah.
Okay.
Well, we have another pandemic and they go buy more tents and more outside stuff and get
Shh.
off budget.
All right.
Let's not
Let's
Yeah.
not talk about
plan
that.
that.
All right, all in favor? Finally, Article 16. Shall the town transfer the balance of remaining funds from Lincolnville Central Schools unassigned fund balance as determined by the FY fiscal year 22 audit to the Lincolnville Central Schools Facility Reserve Fund to be expended by a vote of the school committee? School committee recommends a yes vote. I believe this is what you're talking about, Dave, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, you know, if it's a no vote, nobody can spend it until citizens say, we want you to spend it on this. You know, this gives the authority to the school committee to spend it for this purpose.
Which, when you have things like we've had in the recent years that's been happening at school, it seems like it's helpful when roofs are leaking and
Walls
molds
not put
going
together.
and walls aren't put together.
The sewage wasn't done right.
Sewage is backing up in the cafeteria, you know.
There's a guarantee at some point this will be needed.
Yeah.
So that's what we've
It's
seen.
already been done.
All right,
Can I ask a question now, or we're gonna wait for discussion?
let's get a movement. We don't have a motion yet.
I'll do it. I
Move.
motion it.
Yep.
I'll second it.
Second, perfect. All right, discussion. Now's your time.
All right, so, and this is gonna be a question for the school committee actually, so if there's a shortfall in one of these budgets where we don't cover something, would that be covered under this discretionary spending by the school committee?
A shortfall, so
Yeah.
they need more money.
Let's say, let's take the special education transportation, let's say we get more moving into the district that needs that the budget goes up, would that fall under this fund where the school committee could say,
Well,
we need to expend
I
it?
think it would, except the balance is negative $25,000.
That's
Theoretically, yes.
Well-
Gotcha.
Very nice
All right.
answer.
It actually mentions two funds. There's an unassigned fund and the facility reserve fund.
Oh, I
That's a
see.
from two.
Right.
From the
And
unassigned
I'm
to.
concerned that it could be, I believe by the wording of this article, it could be spent for whatever the purpose of the facility reserve was,
Okay.
which probably doesn't include salaries,
Yeah.
would be my guess, but I don't know school finance.
Huh.
And, yeah, I'll just leave it at that, I guess.
There's no sense having it. No.
Oh, I remember the other part of that, the negative 25,000 that we are, we're still awaiting the FY 21, no, 20 what, 20,
We'd be waiting
What
on the
audit?
22 budget, cause it's the
No.
one that ended in June of
Right.
22.
we're still waiting on the 22
Sure.
audit,
Oh.
which hopefully when completed, the monies will go into the facilities reserve, because that's what the voters voted on, and then we won't have a negative balance.
Ah.
All right. Any further discussion?
Or it's not a negative balance.
All in favor? All right. That does it for our recommendations for the LCS budget for 2023-2024. I will entertain a movement to adjourn, unless there's any further business.
I would like to make a motion to adjourn.
Second. And we don't have a, this is it for our season, right?
Yeah, and then you
Yes.
get a picture.
All right. And then you need to write something. When do you need that written?
Perfect, I wore socks.
Great.
We're still
It's
being
not a
taped
foot
up.
picture.